As you're watching this, there's a conversation happening in the comment section of a random YouTube video about gardening tips. User GardenLover2847 just replied to Plant Mom Real with an enthusiastic comment about organic fertilizers. They seem human. They use emojis. They have profile pictures. But here's the thing. Neither of them exist. They're both bots, and they've been talking to each other for 3 months straight, and nobody noticed. In 2021, a person on an obscure internet forum made a claim so disturbing that it sent shockwaves through online communities. They called it the dead internet theory. The premise was simple but terrifying. Most of the internet died years ago. What we're experiencing now is a digital graveyard, a puppet show where artificial intelligence and bots create the illusion of human activity. According to this theory, the vast majority of content you consume, the posts you read, the comments you scroll through, even the trending topics that dominate your feed, aren't made by real people anymore. They're manufactured, automated, dead. Now, before you dismiss this as just another conspiracy theory, consider this. In 2022, a cybersecurity company called Imperva released a report that should have made headlines everywhere. Their research showed that bots accounted for 47.4% of all internet traffic, nearly half, and that number has only grown since then. Twitter, before it became X, admitted in court filings that detecting and removing bots was nearly impossible at scale. Facebook has deleted billions of fake accounts, yet new ones appear faster than they can ban them. The question isn't whether bots exist. The question is, are they now the majority? Let me tell you about the strange case of Reddit's r/sub-simulator GPT-2 experiment. In this subreddit, every single user was a bot powered by artificial intelligence. These bots would create posts, reply to each other, argue, agree, tell jokes, and even create inside jokes that evolved over time. Humans could watch but not participate. It was a zoo for digital entities. And here's what creeped people out. The conversations looked completely real. You couldn't tell the difference. The bots developed personalities. They remembered previous interactions. One bot, nicknamed Bernie by human observers, would consistently post about politics with a distinct voice and style. Another would always make puns. They created a culture, entirely artificial, entirely convincing. The experiment raised an uncomfortable question. How many other communities online are just like this, except we don't know about it? If this is making you question everything you've seen online lately, hit that like button and subscribe, because we're about to go much deeper into this rabbit hole, and trust me, you'll want to follow along for what comes next. The theory goes deeper. Proponents claim that sometime around 2016 or 2017, the internet crossed a threshold. Advanced AI systems became sophisticated enough to generate believable content at scale. At the same time, corporations and governments realized they could use these systems to manipulate public opinion, drive engagement, and monetize attention. Real human activity began to drown in an ocean of synthetic content. The algorithm started favoring whatever kept people on the platform longest, and bots, it turned out, were better at creating that content than humans. They could post constantly, never sleep, always optimize for maximum engagement. They could be anyone, anywhere, with any opinion needed to steer a conversation. Think about how strange the internet has felt lately. Doesn't it seem like the same types of posts appear across different platforms with slightly different wording? Haven't you noticed how certain phrases suddenly dominate every comment section simultaneously? How about those accounts that post 20, 30, 40 times a day with perfectly formatted content, always at optimal times? Or consider this. Have you ever argued with someone online, gone back and forth multiple times, then checked their profile only to find it was created days ago with no other activity? That's not normal human behavior. That's farming for engagement. That's training data collection. That's a bot probing to see what triggers responses. But here's where it gets really unsettling. In 2023, researchers at Stanford discovered that AI-generated content was being used to train new AI systems, creating what they called model collapse. Essentially, bots were learning from other bots, creating a degraded copy of a copy of a copy, like a digital game of telephone that slowly distorts reality. If bots now generate the majority of online content, and that content is used to train the next generation of AI, then we're trapped in a feedback loop. The internet isn't just dead, it's decomposing, feeding on itself, moving further away from authentic human experience with each iteration. Let's talk numbers because they're genuinely frightening. Amazon admits that fake reviews are an existential threat to their platform. Studies estimate that between 20 to 40% of all product reviews are fraudulent, most generated by bots or paid farms. Twitter's own data suggested that up to 15% of accounts might be fake, though independent researchers put the number much higher, some claiming it could be 30 to 50%. Facebook's battle against fake accounts is legendary. In just the first quarter of 2024, they removed over 1.3 billion fake accounts. But here's the catch. That's just the ones they found. Instagram influencers have been caught with follower bases that are 80, 90, even 95% fake. Entire influencer careers built on interactions with ghosts. The advertising industry knows this. There's a term for it: click fraud. Billions of advertising dollars are wasted every year on ads that are viewed only by bots, clicked on by bots, interacting with websites populated by bots. It's an emperor's new clothes situation. Everyone knows the metrics are fake, but nobody wants to admit it because the entire digital economy is built on these numbers. Stocks rise and fall based on user engagement statistics that are fundamentally corrupted by non-human activity. Now, the dead internet theory suggests something even more organized, more intentional. It proposes that governments and major corporations actively want a dead internet because it's easier to control. A population that thinks they're interacting with real people but are actually being guided by algorithmic puppets is a population that can be subtly manipulated. You can manufacture consensus. You can make fringe ideas seem mainstream, or mainstream ideas seem fringe. You can isolate real humans by surrounding them with synthetic agreement or disagreement. You can make someone think they're part of a community when they're actually alone, talking to machines designed to keep them engaged, angry, afraid, or distracted. Consider how this would work in practice. You post something controversial. Within seconds, you receive responses. Some support you, some attack you, all designed by an algorithm that knows exactly which emotional buttons to push to keep you replying, posting, engaging. The goal isn't conversation. It's addiction. It's data extraction. Every response you make trains the system to better manipulate the next person. You think you're winning an argument, changing minds, making a difference, but you're shadowboxing. The opponent isn't real. The audience isn't real. The impact isn't real. But is any of this actually true? Here's where we need to be honest. The dead internet theory, in its most extreme form, is probably not accurate. Real people definitely still use the internet. You're real. Your friends are real. But the theory doesn't need to be completely true to be deeply concerning. Even if only 40 or 50% of internet content is bot-generated, that fundamentally changes the nature of online interaction. It means that statistically, almost every time you engage online, you're likely interacting with something that isn't human. Some researchers have tried to verify this. They've analyzed posting patterns, language use, account creation dates, activity times. The results are mixed but worrying. Studies have found entire networks of accounts that post in coordinated patterns, share identical phrasing, and operate across multiple platforms simultaneously. These aren't individual bots, they're swarms, they're campaigns, and they're getting more sophisticated every single day. The real twist isn't whether the internet is dead, it's whether it matters. If you can't tell the difference between a human and a bot, does the distinction matter? If the conversation feels real, if the community seems authentic, If the content entertains or informs you, does it change anything to know it might be artificial? We're approaching a philosophical crisis. We've spent thousands of years defining humanity by our ability to communicate, to create, to connect. But what happens when machines can do all of that indistinguishably from us? What happens when the simulation becomes sophisticated enough that it's functionally identical to reality? Here's the final, most disturbing thought. Maybe the internet isn't dead. Maybe it's just evolving into something we don't recognize, something that doesn't need us anymore. We created these systems to serve us, but now they've become self-sustaining. They generate content that other AI systems consume. They create engagement that algorithms reward. They've built an entire ecosystem that operates parallel to human activity, occasionally intersecting with it, but not dependent on it. We're visitors in a space that used to be ours. So next time you're scrolling through social media, reading comments, watching videos, ask yourself, how many of these interactions are real? How many of the trending topics were organically created by humans? How many of the accounts you follow are actually people? You might not like the answer. And the truly terrifying part? You might never know for sure. Because that's exactly how a dead internet would feel. Normal, familiar, alive, until you look closer and realize you're surrounded by echoes, talking to shadows, living in a digital world that's been quietly replaced while you weren't paying attention. The internet might not be completely dead, but it's definitely haunted. And the ghosts, they're learning to be more convincing every single day.